This week, in the lead up to the provincial budget, Professor Tim Flannery met with Alberta's NDP. Bet you didn't know that, and I bet you don't know why you should even care. Well, stay with me because I'm going to tell you. Who's Tim Flannery? Well, Tim Flannery is Australia's very own version of David Suzuki. Like Suzuki, he's not a climatologist. Suzuki's a geneticist, and Flannery is a paleontologist. He even wrote a book about the evolution of the kangaroo. I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, but I promise I will. Like Suzuki, he's a climate alarmist. He wants to scare us all away from fossil fuels because apparently all sorts of bad things are going to happen if we keep using them. Bad things on a timeline that keeps changing, might I add, but they're going to happen because these guys promise. For example, Flannery in 1996 said sea levels could rise as high as 8 stories. This is a claim he repeated 10 years later in 2006. Listen.
Tim Flannery is the government's chief climate commissioner, and his job is to scare us about man-made global warming. He's good at it. 5 years ago, for instance, he warned the seas could rise as high as an 8-storey house.
Anyone with a coastal view from their bedroom window or kitchen window or wherever is likely to lose their house as a result of that change. So anywhere, any coastal cities, coastal areas are in grave danger.
That's right. Just like David Suzuki, Flannery is so scared of global warming that he bought himself a house on the beach. That makes me seriously question just how much he really believes the stuff he says. Then there was the time in 2008 that he said the Arctic would be ice-free in 5 years, so by 2013.
So if you look at the data for the decay of the Arctic ice cap, for example, that is just moving so quickly now. And last year was the worst year ever. People are saying, that instead of the ice cap lasting a century, that it may be that in 5 years there'll be no Arctic ice cap.
Now what year is this? Did we forget to turn up the heat on the Arctic again? Dang it, we are always doing that. But why shouldn't an Albertan care if a foreign scaremonger who doesn't even take himself seriously met with our government? Well, Flannery thinks the best way to combat climate change is to hike carbon taxes. In fact, he takes credit for the BC carbon tax brought in under former Premier Gordon Campbell. Flannery's book, The Weathermakers, must have sufficiently scared the daylights out of Campbell. Flannery wants us to move away from affordable coal-fired electrical generation and get into more solar power like they are currently doing right now in Australia. He said of Edmonton, I can't see a single solar panel on any rooftop. He's obviously never spent a winter here with our whopping 6 hours of daylight. He also wrote in his latest book, Atmosphere of Hope, that 80% of the world's fossil fuels need to stay in the ground, and that includes 75% of the oil sands. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because that's actually an NDP talking point. Now, Notley has surrounded herself with radicals. She has radical chiefs of staff. She has radical ministers in her cabinet. She listens to debunked radical scaremongers. She's made radical changes to the corporate tax and minimum wages. She's the radical in chief. If she wants our industry, our economy, and our province to fail, what she's doing now is the recipe to bake that cake. For all of Notley's talk and for all of her travels, crisscrossing the continent on a carbon-intensive trip to convince investors that Alberta is open for business, we just know that's not true. Her newfound support of oil is fake, it's pretend, and it's a charade. Talk is cheap, her actions speak louder than her words, and investors know it. For TheRebel.Media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Thank you.